Carlo Rovelli's Reality is Not What It Seems, book published by Carlo Rovelli in the recent years. An Italian theoretical physicist. He is the head of the quantum gravity group at the Centre Physique Théorique of Marseille University. He is one of the founders of Loop Quantum Gravity Theory and the author of 7 Brief Lessons of Physics, an international bestseller translated into more than 40 languages. Rovelli lives in Marseille, France. Great author. I just finished reading this book. It is again a journey, as it says, a journey to quantum gravity. And I like this one a lot more than Helgoland. Even though the purpose is very similar, this one explores a lot much more. So what is this book about? Well, it's not just about quantum gravity. It does make it makes an attempt to illustrate, again, like most of the books I've already reviewed, a modern landscape of physics. However, this, at least to me, it transmitted a lot more information. It was a lot more fluid. It offered a lot much more insight and background to everything. It digs from the very beginning, or at least from what we speculate is the beginning. What we speculate is the beginning, but it just goes like step by step, or at least it makes it seem seamless in a sense. It does not only talk about the big figures, but maybe the smaller scientists in between, and I find that to be very useful. It does make for a smooth transition. It's not a rough way. So yeah, the beginning of the book, it starts talking about Greek philosophers and how they viewed the world and what their speculation was about what reality is. The first impressions or speculations about whether the universe was infinite or there was a very fine thing. Well, the concept of atom stems from the Greeks. Whether there was an infinitely small granular reality, as Democritus speculated. And it investigates that. It goes towards the discussion of physics as well from behalf of Aristophanes and Plato. It also illustrates Newton's contribution. Although this book, I will say, it did focus more on the Greek philosophers and their first impressions of it, morely so because of how impressive it is that at the time, without having the research tools and knowledge and mathematics, how accurate some of them were, right? Things like Plato suspecting that the world was round, or Democritus establishing the fact or the speculation that the world had an infinitesimal, like super small, granular, let's say, thing in which reality is based upon. He makes an interesting argument for it as well. So, really nice stuff. And towards the middle, I believe it was chapter 3. Give me a second. I'm gonna look. I want to make a proper assessment of each part of the book. Yeah. So, okay. The contents are, well, part 1, which is the roots. It discusses the first Greek philosophers and their insights. Part 2, beginning of the revolution, with the inclusion of Einstein and, the German and European philosophers that have contributed. Part 3, quantum space and relational time. This part I struggled a lot with. The mention of Matvei and other important figures. Carlo Rovelli in part 3, at least in my estimation, makes a comparison between string theory. Well, actually, he introduces loop theory and string theory as the most competent theories as of today, which people are trying to improve upon, and to finally, establish as a dominant theory, or rather, to seek the truth overall, right? I do believe that, claim to be one of the founders of loop, loop quantum gravity theory. I do think that Carlo makes an attempt to push forward his own ideas, rightfully so, it is his book. However, I don't think he makes a great illustration of it, or at least to me, I'm not, I'm not the greatest subject to critique it, but it does not come across as clear what he wants to say. It was definitely the chapter that I struggled with the most, or I didn't find as coherent, or it just kind of went through my head. Um, Whereas I could grasp a little bit of what loop quantum gravity was, I still don't feel competent enough to explain it, and I don't think it over all the things that were explained in the book, that was the thing that made the less sense to me. It's not to discredit the theory, it's just that it didn't resonate a lot with me. Um, to be quite fair, string theory also doesn't resonate a lot with me. I don't really like it. Um, I'm not convinced by either of the theories. Although loop quantum gravity, if from what I was reading, it made a little bit more sense. Maybe it's just because of how it's portrayed, because it does offer a little bit more leeway as to the the possibilities of the unknown, whereas string theory is much more strict and depends on much more particular realities to be discovered, or not realities, or particular facts to be checked, in which there's still not enough research to. But yeah, it's very interesting. It offers the insight about loop quantum gravity, about string theory as well. Um, it makes more of an advocacy for loop quantum gravity. Again, I didn't get a full grasp of it, um, and it was the most puzzling part of the book. Um, so that was that. But other than that, I did really enjoy the book. I think it offers a lot of insight. It offers very detailed explanations, and it doesn't really go over the top with the mathematics of it. Whereas it does make mentions of it, it doesn't necessarily rely upon it to explain everything. Yes, mathematics are required to explain the theories. He doesn't just express full on all the mathematics required. He just makes a brief summary of how it's used and which equations were used. Um, he also brings into attention the intervention of different scientists across time for the different theories established and new discoveries. He makes more of an emphasis. I'm gonna compare it with Helgoland. He makes more of an emphasis on Einstein's intervention in different theories, on Newton as well. He doesn't make that much of a mention about Newton in regards to his his contribution to the optics, but he does mention it, but not as much. He also makes a correlation between the scientific upcomings of the Renaissance. So it's very full of content. Some parts of the book are much more fluent, smooth reading than others. Definitely part 3 was the one that I struggled the most with. I found it rocky. But other than that, I think it was very enjoyable. The first part of it as well was very, very enjoyable. I personally, I didn't know about Maxwell and what his theories were, what he had established, the principles about electricity, the discovery of waves and things of the sort. I wasn't knowledgeable upon, and this taught me a lot, and it offers a proper amount of insight. And so I find this to be a lot better than Helgoland and a lot better at illustrating physics than perhaps A Brief History of Time. I'm just making these comparisons because they are the books that I recurred to understand about physics. But I do think this comes up a few more pedestals because of um, how complete it is and how, at the beginning, not throughout the whole book, how unbiased it intends to be at the beginning. Definitely, Helgoland comes across as less unbiased than this book because at the end it makes an effort to explain more what factual is, and it is a little bit more strict in that regard. It does come across like very dismissive of speculations and different theories. It's not that I liked or disliked it, but it does seem to be more of a thing of the author rather than the scientific community by itself. Um, but overall, I do think that it does get the function done across. It gets the job done. I really like this book. I think it's a great introduction to physics. If you don't know much about it, I would really recommend it. Is it long? It's it's girthy. It doesn't seem as long here, but it's a somewhat medium-sized book. It it doesn't how do you say this? It doesn't have too many pictures to it, and the text in it is not intense in the sense that you're not gonna find yourself stuttering too much in it. There might be some pages that you might need to read again, but overall, there's not a lot of stuttering, at least on my behalf. So that to me comes across as a very positive quality of the book because it just illustrates how its intent does translate well into paper. So that I appreciate a lot. I think that it is something worth if you're looking to getting into physics, especially understanding quantum physics and quantum gravity, the theories that are still going on today, and speculations. It is a great book. It's a great enlightener in the sense that it offers the possibility to wonder furthermore, providing information for you to understand reality clearer, and that to me is very valuable. Personally, I find a lot of value in this book. I rented it. I might purchase it someday, but there's that. Um, Towards the end of the book, so I spoke at the beginning. The middle of the book is morally oriented towards quantum physics. So the very beginning is morally so reserved for the explanation and the beginnings of algebra and mathematics being applied for physics and the intuition. So it's much more theoretical at the beginning, whereas towards the middle of the book, it focuses more on the quantum physics, what the questions are, what the influences of the physicists are, how the discoveries impacted the way that we see physics, and it makes an attempt to explain the phenomenon presented and the questions present in in quantum physics, such as what is reality made of, things to the likes of space time, well, as well as the introduction of the notion of gravity after Newton and what we understand of it, Einstein's take on it. Also, concepts like the expansion of the universe, black holes, all these things that are extremely interesting, and he makes a very good introduction for it, so that I like a lot. He makes a detailed explanation for it. Again, he doesn't dwell too much on the mathematics, although he does make parallel comparisons, so somebody can understand what the universe or the observable universe actually is. It's way bigger than you could ever imagine. And the examples represented, and even though after you read the examples you understand that you cannot physically or you cannot possibly understand how large it is, either way, um, towards the end of the book, he makes more of an emphasis about the current theories, about, well, everything, if one may say, the beginning, or if there is a beginning and no end, or what everything is made of. That's towards the end. I don't think there's as many certainties. Well, because there truly isn't in the scientific community as of today. There's not as many certainties. So he does dwell upon it. He pushes forward again the loop quantum theory, the string theory. Not many more. I don't think he mentions any other theories about it. He does push forward the observations that were made and how they correlate with these theories, making them feasible or not. None of these seem to be 100% accurate or spot on the money, because if they were, they would be conceived as the ruling theory and we would be running with it today. But they don't seem to be as they don't seem to be it yet. Not quite yet, if. So there's that. And towards the very end of the book, it makes another analysis to the likes of Helgeland as well. He makes an analysis of how we conceive, how we perceive the world, and how much importance, or how what we consider to be factual, and in what fashion we do so. So it focuses more on maybe the more psychological takes on it, or maybe to the likes of theology to an extent. It also, again, it makes a little bit of it gives a little bit of bite at the end. It does punch a little bit, like saying, well, you can't just wonder about things. You have to have factual knowledge and rigid statements to back up your theories or speculations. No theoretical, no physical, no advancements or physics were made by just wondering. What if? He takes a jab at modern physics theorists in that regard, at least. I'm not sure if I agree. Perhaps it's because I am on that side, but yeah, everybody is entitled to their own opinion, I guess. But he does he does draw the line of what is considered factual and how much we should wonder about things, and how much we should actually take it seriously if it's based upon mathematics or not, which is a very valid take, to be honest with you. I don't think it's to be discredited on its entirety. So yeah, I think it's a very good book. You'll learn a lot from it if you didn't know as much before about physics. And I really, really, really enjoyed the beginning of it, because it did illustrate a lot of things that I didn't even know I needed to know, and now I know. Or at least I think I know. So that to me is a very valuable gift that I got from just renting this book. Honestly, I rented it on a library, so like I didn't even have to pay for it. So it's a gift in a sense. I gave it to myself, or Carlo gave it to the world, rather. But yeah, it's very insightful, very smooth reading. I enjoyed it a lot. Again, it was rocky towards the middle, just because of how precarious the conditions of the current theories, the ruling theories, if one can even say that. But other than that, I think that it does offer a lot, and I think it is worth buying or renting or reading or whatever it may be. I might buy it into the future just to have it because of what it means personally to me. But yeah, I found it to be a very good book. I would rate it. I would go with. I would go with. I don't want to. I think I'll go with 8. Right now, I'm thinking about Brief History of Time being rated an 8, not being as sublime in quality. But I do think that the charm of the other book is something else. It's more, um, it's much more of a cultural impact rather. Uh, but to learn about physics, this is definitely the choice that I would recommend everybody else. I think it does deserve an 8. I think there are parts of the book that might have very slight flaws, or at least in my perspective, they're not as enjoyable, or there are some parts of the book that it might seem like the own author's vision gets convoluted with the information provided, and it might seem like a little bit of a bias in some occasions. Um, that is not to discredit the information because the bias push is not as intense, but you can see a little bit of it, and it again, it's not to discredit the book, but I think that its most brilliant parts and its most it shines the most when it does not get in the way with its own opinion, at least to my estimation. But yeah, I think I'll rate it an 8, maybe 8.3. I don't know, something like that. I think it's a very good book. I would definitely recommend it to somebody looking into physics, looking to get introduced into physics. Great damn introduction. Um, but yeah, I would need to find another really good book to fight against this guy because I think it's the ruling one so far. Yeah, that's about it. Carlo Rovelli, he's becoming one of my favorites. But that is because I haven't read anymore, or not because I haven't read anymore, because I haven't read enough. So I'll see into the future if he remains as one of the ruling authors of theoretical physics, or he just falls flat across along the way. I don't think so, but he may not. Great introduction, great book. Go buy it. Bye.